Hi, everyone. Um, First of all, thank you to Rise Delhi, Ayush, Utkarsh, Sanchi, everyone in the team. Unfortunately, the ones who are not raising hands, let me tell you, you are also consumers of stories because this world won't function without stories. And its stories are the way where history is transferred from one generation to another. The culture is transmitted from one ethnicity to another, and it's all through stories. And we have some great bunch of people who are just changing the way how we consume stories, making it more relatable, making it more accessible, like, at different mediums, be it offline, be it online. I have a question for all three of you. When did you realize the power of your words?
I think it's coming of age journey for me, and started off with just reading stuff, and then when you're reading something, then I think you're subconsciously also consuming it. And then when I one day just sat down on my table and started writing something, and at that point of time, whenever I used to go to people and say that, "Acha, listen, I've written something," and they're like, "नहीं नहीं यार, क्या क्या अभी तू बोर करेगा इस चीज को लेके?" And then I just one day decided to package it a little differently, instead of going up to them and reciting it, what I did was I just recorded it and I just gave it to them. कि instead of telling them कि कुछ सुनेगा, I was like, ये सुन. And then there was a small difference in that. When they heard it, they were like, "Yeah, acha, yeah, this sounds really good, yeah." And then that sort of validation came to me. And I was not looking for validation in the beginning, but when it came to me, I started feeling good about it. And I think that initially became the purpose of my writing, but slowly, gradually, it became, it more about pursuing the art of it and then reading more and getting the knowledge of it and getting the hang of how words are written, how the rhythm of the poetry should be like. And I think at this point of time, I've come to a stage where, it's slowly transitioned into a kind of obsession for me where I try to find imperfections in brilliance. If somebody comes up to me and says, "Hey, listen, this sounds really good," I'll listen to it from a very critical mind because I think if I'm not critical about it, then probably I'll not end up learning from it. So, yeah, that's, I think from this journey, this is how I realized that I've, slowly started growing with words.
Well said. Naya Paresh.
To answer your question, at least once on most of the days, okay, we sense how powerful it is to hear stories, read them, and get a chance to recite them and make a change. All right. I only have one story to share here. Of course, it has made a huge change to my life. There's no denial about that, and there's no way that my sad engineering job could have gotten me here. Somebody else, maybe somebody else, but not me. I was not made for that. I was very bad at my job. I've always been called a chatterbox throughout my life, and somehow my educators, my teachers, sort of pointed out it's supposed to be a bad thing. Okay, to speak so much, to have so much to say. Once I grew up, and the first time I held a mic and recited in front of people in a slam poetry competition in my college, my life changed. Okay, the judge, I didn't win that day, but Surendra Sharma ji, who's a very renowned Hasya Kavi of our country, he was the judge. He came on stage, and I remember he took out some money out, he pulled my hand, and believe or not, I was sitting in a short dress because it was a college festival, and I thought that's how you're supposed to dress up. Just learning how to behave in Delhi. Everybody was in their kurtas and gamshas. They knew how to dress up for a Kavi Sammelan. I did not. Sleeveless, and I was constantly doing this to my skirt while I was sitting in that Kavi Sammelan. And when everything ended, the winners were announced. He pulled me, उन्होंने मेरा हाथ पकड़ा, मुझे लेकर गए कि इस बच्ची को मैं अपनी तरफ से कुछ देना चाहता हूँ. He gave me some money. जो दूसरा प्राइज़ था, इट वाज़ 2500, ही गिव मी 3100, 3100, एंड ही वाज़ जेलस ऑफ मी, ओके, कि मुझे ये मिल जाना चाहिए था। बट आई स्टिल थिंक कि वो 2100 निकालना चाह रहे थे, गलती से 1 नोट एक्स्ट्रा निकल गया, एंड ही कुडन्ट आस्क इट बैक फॉर श्योर। बैड मोमेंट टू लूज़ 1000 रुपीज़। However, on daily basis, we get these messages and in our DMs, that this piece of yours, sort of changed my life, uplifted me for today. One time a girl messaged me that, my dad wasn't agreeing for a love marriage, and her brother sent a piece of mine which is about you should know your partner before you get married. He still didn't agree for the love marriage though, but he asked the daughter to, focus on the education right now. At least he stopped the arranged marriage. How big is that? And how often does that happen in our country? So that was huge. And for something, for a message in my DM like that, I would wake up and do this every day. That's all.
Hello, क्या हाल है? Power of words. For me, it started on Orkut. Uh, याद है किसी को Orkut? हाँ, ये बैठे गाड़ी में गए पीछे.
Wow, guys.
Orkut. The first time I posted something on Orkut and that first like or something, और तब पता चलता था secretly कोई आपकी प्रोफाइल देख रहा है तो भी पता चलता था कि somebody viewed your profile. मैंने कहा wow, so many strangers are coming and watching my profile. तो फिर शुरू हुआ plagiarism. खुद के बहुत उतना विजडम है नहीं, तो गूगल से कोड उठाया, यू शुड विन बाय शिव डाल दिया Orkut पे, गेटिंग मोर लाइक्स एंड मोर फॉलोइंग. तो मैंने कहा यार ये तो बहुत बढ़िया है. फिर Orkut ही बंद हो गया. फिर शुरू हुआ फेसबुक. And of course simultaneously it's not just you, there are people around you who tell you that this is probably your strength, you should pursue this a little more. Friends tell you to go and participate in debate competitions, although I'd never participated in a debate competition because everybody else was so good with words and arguments. And I used to get very not so confident about it. So I that's how I found music to be a better expression for me than the spoken word at that time. And yeah, you don't necessarily always need words, is what I came to realize when you have to express. Could be just a melody, it could be anything that you really feel is truthful and authentic, because that's how I feel we connect. We all of us want to belong, we just want to connect because we don't know हम क्यों हैं यहाँ धरती पे, क्यों हैं, क्या कर रहे हैं, पता नहीं है. There are zillion explanations of why we are here. We're all figuring it out together through words, through emotions, through melodies, through everything.
Nice. Well said. Nayab, I will majorly address this to you, and you both are open to add this. Like,
I feel so important right now, everybody. I feel like today is the Women's Day. Thank you so much.
So adding to that, you've had a very special poetry about men in the country, right? And you've addressed something which went super viral, and people got a chance to see that side of the society as well. And to all three of you, how do you see your words via storytelling or lyrics are changing or bringing a social change? And where do you see your responsibility lies as a lyricist, as a storyteller, as a writer, as a poet? Where do you see that, okay, this is something that I should address about the society? Or it can be anything, right? It can be something which is very personal to you, or where you see that this is a correction that I think or my take is towards the society. So
To answer that particular piece, ठीक है, so I'll tell you a small thing. I'm a woman. पास्ट में क्या है ना, ज़्यादा मेल शायर रहे हैं, and always a woman's beauty has been glorified in music, in songs. So every time I would write something as a woman, I'm obviously writing about male beauty. I've been dating a very beautiful man for so many years now कि मुझे कुछ भी जब मैं प्रेम पे लिखती थी या खूबसूरती पे लिखती थी तो उसके ऊपर लिखती थी. फॉर एग्जाम्पल देयर इज दिस लाइन कि तेरी आंखें कितनी खूबसूरत हैं ये बयां करने को, अगर मुझे लफ्ज मिल जाएं तो क्या खाक खूबसूरत है तेरी आंखें, है ना? तुम्हारे दिमाग में किसी आदमी की शक्ल आई ये सुनते हुए? Right. So the problem is every time you hear Shringar Ras, you always imagine a woman. And every time men would walk up to me after the show कि आप हमारे बारे में कुछ लिखती ही नहीं है. अरे मैं तो तुम्हारे बारे में ही लिख रही हूँ. तुम महसूस नहीं कर पा रहे हो because the notion कि जैसे ही अपन सुनते हैं सुंदरता के बारे में लगता है किसी औरत, किसी लड़की, किसी बच्चे के बारे में होगा, right? So the piece was that we were addressing that the moment I speak this is for men. कि तू ही सुंदर है, तू ही खूबसूरत है. मैं तेरे लिए कहना चाह रही हूँ, trying to sort of balance it, bring equality in the scene in that side as well when I speak of feminism in that way. I mean, of course, thank you boys. However, when we speak of responsibility, I feel very, very responsible, and hence there are so many moments that I have nothing to say because maybe I've not read enough, maybe I'm not politically aware in that particular area. So I'll rather stay shush rather than speaking randomly anything on the social media. So I'm very aware of that, to be very honest.
Anything you both want to add?
So, coming from how, you know, you said something नायाब जो क्या खा खूबसूरत नजरी आके परवीन शाकिर जी का ये बहुत प्यारा शेर है कि हुस्न को समझने के लिए एक उम्र चाहिए जाना दो घड़ी की मुलाकात में लड़कियां नहीं खुलती. So when I heard this for the first time, I always thought that this was about women. You know, somebody was trying to describe women, and then I slowly realized that it's a message for all the men. This is something that you should learn. And coming from how art changes people and how what impact do I want my art to have on people, I don't want one specific impact because first of all, art is subjective. You'll consume it in your own way. So for me, when I'm doing shows, when I'm performing what I'm performing, the name of my show is Mohabbat Zindabad. Once the show is over, I think I do not get up on the stage with the thought of leaving behind a legacy, to be honest, because I don't care about leaving behind a legacy. Once you die, you die. There's no better way to die. And for me, the entire purpose of me being on the stage is to bring about a change in myself, and that comes from a very selfish artistic point of view in life. But when somebody comes to my show for the fourth time, and for fourth time he's for the past three times I had no idea about it. For the past three times he had been bringing different people along with him. For the fourth time he brought his brother, and then he comes up to me and says that, you know why I do this for you. I was like, why do you do this? And he said, because when I saw your show for the first time, the first thing I did after getting out of the auditorium was call my brother. And the name of the show is Mohabbat Zindabad. People think it's a romantic angle. We somehow, when I started writing the show, I was like, okay, मोहब्बत का ना एक मोहब्बत सिर्फ एक रिश्ते का नाम नहीं है. मोहब्बत में बहुत सारे रिश्ते हैं. And when talking about there's love between brothers, there's love between friends, there's love between, your romantic partner, love between your parents, grandfather, everything. It can be anything. So I decided to be very subjective about that. And I have received countless and countless of DMs saying that, I really want my parents to watch this show. I really want, my brother to watch this show. Acha, listen. And I'll tell you, so one of the DMs that really made my heart smile, if my heart had a mouth, that is, it was that, from this point onwards, whatever city you go to, what I'm going to do, I'm going to buy 5 tickets of your show. And I'm going to send it to 5 people I know in that city as a gift. I don't know how good my show is, but this definitely sounds like an impact. So that is what I'm pursuing. As long as the show runs, for example, if the show runs for 2 years, I'm good with it. If this impact stops after 2 years, I'm good with it. I worked for 2 years. Those 2 years, I made an impact. Tonight, when I go home and I sleep, I'll think about this, that, okay, because of my show or because of what I did on the stage, there are at least 2 people in this world who have a better relationship with their brother or their parents, and that's all I care about.
Can you ask them to buy 5 tickets of my show as well?
Definitely. Let's do a show together. Yeah.
This is on record now. I'm gonna hold him.
Yeah.
I'm gonna hold him.
Also, I would like to add, didn't talk about the money right now. We'll talk about it later.
अरे नहीं चाहिए पैसे चाहे नहीं देना ठीक है.
Let's ask your manager that question.
Okay, I'm here only.
Exactly why I said it.
Speaking of social media and responsibility and reach, that's how I was discovered by this man called Bhavya Anand right here, through the Voice Notes concert and the reels. So, if there is an upside of all these things, and we need to understand that, of course, if there are people on the other side listening, watching, consuming, then there is a sense of responsibility. Everything that you do should be intentional, should be more than anything true to what you're feeling, and not just for the trend of going viral कि बोलने के लिए कुछ बोलना है, that is something I don't subscribe to. If I don't know enough about an issue, if I don't feel strongly about something, then I'll not speak about it. Um, and there are many issues that I don't know about. I don't have enough information or enough uh, connection about. Sometimes if you've gone through something personally, you relate to that thing a little more than just commenting on it. तो वो है. But मुझे ये बहुत अच्छी लगी चीज़ कि how beauty is perceived only for women, because I'm reading a book called All About Love by Bell Hooks. हाँ, बहुत सुंदर किताब है, and starts with saying कि every famous literature about love has been written by men, and which is why the perception of longing, like most of these novels that we glorify, are about incomplete love. But if you ask a woman from their point of view, they know the feeling of being in love as well. Like, how does that feel? Men mostly in the past, whatever, Romeo, Juliet, Laila, Majnu, Heer Raja, it's always been about longing. जो नहीं मिला प्यार, उसके बारे में. So it's a beautiful difference, and I'm so glad that you are writing about it and talking about it. And yeah, I'm Mohabbat Zindabad.
Mohabbat Zindabad, yes. So again, like I feel that storytelling and writing lyrics and is a very culturally rich art form, right? हमारी दादियों ने हमें कहानियाँ बताई हैं जो हम हो सकता है आगे बताएंगे, या हमने बहुत सीनियर्स से ही सुनी है. इट हैज़ बीन जनरेशनली ट्रांसफर्ड. आज हम उस एज में हैं या उस टाइम में हैं जहाँ पे वी हैव यंग वॉइसेस एंड यू ऑल आर पार्ट ऑफ दैट. Where do you see, how do you crack a balance between, being having a artistic freedom and also being culturally responsible कि यार ये हम कोई तो दायरा होगा या कुछ कभी ना कभी ऐसा लगता होगा कि I don't think I can write about this or I can talk about this. Any one of you whosoever wants to take care.
Ladies first.
See, as a woman on social media, I always feel that there's a lot that I want to say, but I can't. It's very easy to get slut shamed. It's very easy to sort of get shamed in the comment section just by being a woman. Okay, you've seen all these comedy shows and you see a lot of abuses on daily basis, and you laugh at it also because it's जैसे मंटो साहब ने एक बार कहा था कि मैंने ऐसा गाली लिख के कुछ गलत काम नहीं किया है. दिस इज व्हाट सोसाइटी इज. आई हैव जस्ट रिटन इट. आई हैव जस्ट पेन्ड इट डाउन. सो यू कैन जेल मी इफ यू वांट टू, but this is what your society is right now. One time I've always had a very imbalanced relationship with my dad. Okay, so sometimes it goes deep down somewhere, and sometimes we're fine. It's just like that. So growing up, I've also started to understand my dad better. I did a piece about it. It's called Papa Perfectionist है. There was only one line in it. It's called कि बचपन में ना हमारी पापा से फटती थी. क्या बुरा लग गया तुम सबको ये सुनकर किसी को भी, right? When I recited this piece to my mother, she's sitting right here a day before, because I think she understands the society way, way, way better than me. She said, Nayab, you can change this line, it's not very like. I said, Mama, but it's a story. और यही particular representation मैं देना चाह रही हूँ कि हमारी फटती ही थी. This is the word that I want to use. Okay. It's a 10-minute story on YouTube. The YouTube comments are pretty nice and everything. People have watched it. Somebody decided to just take this line, make a meme out of it. My video did not hit 1 million views on YouTube, but that meme hit about like 15, 20, 25, and it started growing, growing, growing. They were shaming me first because of my body, my boobs and everything. Then eventually it went to कि पापा से फटती थी, तो it was all about कि ऐसा लग रहा है अपने बाप के funeral पे बोल रही है. To just read something like that about yourself, and I've only used the word फटती. Okay, it was 7 days. Took me 7 days to get out of those comments. Like, go back to the kitchen. इस पे हंसना था क्या? Laughter is coming in 4-5 business days. How funny like you want me to laugh about it? As an audience, you also have a responsibility to see, is this a comedy video? Is this a storytelling video? But sometimes I realize that people are so frustrated, and with everybody having the access to social media, of course, it is going to sound very, classist of me, but I'm not being classist. I'm just trying to say that education is so important. To figure out and to educate yourself that what are we watching, what are we commenting on, do we have the हम भी कोई भी news पढ़ते हैं सारा दिन, we start shouting about it and we don't know the history, the background of it. imagine just getting shamed for. So I'm very careful on social media. Let me be very honest. I'm not 100% honest about what I'm feeling. I was reading this line by Sylvia Plath that even I don't know how to feel less. Even when I feel nothingness, I feel every bit of it. So of course I feel a lot. But to get it all out as a woman, sorry, I'm scared. I really want to have a career and I really want to have my life and I don't want rape threats in my DM. Sorry. That's how it is. That's the truth. That's the reality. It is that. I can't glorify it in any through any poetry of mine. I can't.
But my whole idea of asking that question was that it's a very heritagely rich art form, and I think that uh, I connect with all three of you because your medium of and the words are very relatable to me. And more so, I think most of the people in the audience would agree to that. That um, इस दुनिया में बहुत महान शायर हैं
जी
जो अभी भी हैं, बट
जी
शायद से उनकी बातें अब मैं उनसे रिलेट नहीं कर पाता। मैं जब बड़ा हो रहा था शायद से मैं रिलेट कर रहा था क्योंकि मैंने दुनिया को अपनी लाइफ़ को वैसे इमेजिन किया था कि वो आइडियलिस्टिक व्यू पॉइंट होगा। बट मैं आप लोगों से ज़्यादा रिलेट कर पाता हूँ क्योंकि ये रियलिटी
जी
ज़्यादा मेरे करीब है। तो वो मेरे को एग्ज़ैक्टली समझना है कि उसके लिए भी तो मतलब दैट इज़ दैट कि हमारे वी आर वेरी लकी दैट वी हैव ऑल द लेजेंड्स, मोस्ट ऑफ देम स्टिल अलाइव एंड still writing poetry and shairi. But then it also is, probably you are also thinking when you are doing something, any art form, you're like कि अब उनसे compare तो नहीं हो जाएंगे.
Hmm. I'll just like to add one small anecdote that the perception of stories from the past and the shayas from the past is also very subjective, as you said. So when I read something and when I sort of perceive it and when I perform something, it is truly आप कुछ पढ़ते हैं वो आपके सिस्टम में मैरिनेट होता है. So nothing that you're saying right now has not been said before. Everything has been written, everything has been said. What you're doing is just making it very relatable because you know the words of today, you know what people like today. It's something that you've cracked. That's it.
And to add on to that, I'll just because you talk about relatability, there was a part of the question also. I were like, how do we put it out there? The part of the stories that we're talking. I'll recite two things for you. Uh, the first quote that I'm going to recite that I wrote a long time ago, which obviously talking about social media and everything because everything has to be followed with stats these days. This one didn't go viral because I knew it would. It says कि अब तू नहीं एक अदाकार है कि अब तू नहीं एक अदाकार है जो निभा रहा है किरदार अपना ही. That means now when you're on the stage, you're nobody but an actor who's portraying himself, right? Now, this is not as relatable with the kind of sorrow that I'm talking about because, I'm kind of, grief stricken by the fact that why can't I be myself? Then I wrote something else which has the same meaning, which is like, अगर वो पूछ ले हमसे किस बात का गम है तो किस बात का गम हो अगर वो पूछ ले हमसे. This went viral because this was easy for everybody to relate with, everybody to understand. And I think when talking about feminism, because you spoke about it, so when I talk about feminism, so this line is not in the show anymore. This is an exclusive sneak peek into Mao Zindabad. I don't do it anymore because the kind of heat that I got because of it was it happened in Mumbai, and
Because it happened in Mumbai.
Delhi people must have laughed on it, but anyways, Mumbai laughed later. But I said this one line, I was talking about a household setting where, I was trying to portray what my grandmother was doing and what my mother was doing. So I said this one line, which came out like very impromptu. I was in the character Adakar. I was into my character and I said this one line, मतलब यहाँ मेरी दादी बैठी थी और वहाँ मेरी माँ बैठी ना अपने सपनों को फॉलो कर रही थी. हमारे हरियाणा में नहीं मैंने बोला कि वहाँ मेरी माँ बैठी अपने सपनों को फॉलो कर रही थी. बर्तन धो रही थी वो. And the entire reason why I said it was because I wanted the audience to feel offended because of what I said. Because when you got offended, then I know my punch is coming. Because this is what a storyteller does. You are not getting offended because I said something offensive. You're getting offended because I wanted you to get offended. I said कि वो बर्तन धो रही थी and the audience was like, what? And I was like, क्या सुना नहीं जा रहा है? तुम्हारे समाज की हकीकत है, बता रहा हूँ. अगर सुना नहीं जा रहा है तो होने से रोको. Don't shoot the messenger. It's and talking about storytelling and art forms. Storytelling is the umbrella of this planet. We are stories. You are a story. You are a story. Everybody sitting here is a story. It's not an art form. It's a culture. And even comedy is a part of stories. Storytelling, when I started pursuing storytelling on the stage, so nobody in India was doing what I did. So I basically had a vast open arena to play around with. I was like, मैं इसमें कुछ भी कर सकता हूँ. Right from the very basic minute कि अच्छा सेट कितना लंबा होना चाहिए, 1 घंटा, 1.5 घंटा, 2 घंटे, 3 घंटे, कुछ नहीं पता है. So this is me going back and forth, back and forth. When I started doing storytelling, everybody was, for me, the most difficult part was कि to make people laugh. Because वो हँसी खुशी भी कहानियों का हिस्सा होती है. That is where I challenged myself. तो वो भी आया. फिर then people crying. People cry not because something happened in the story, Bhavya. They don't know the person, or what happened to the person. They don't know. They cry because I touched a nerve in their life, and that's where the relatability comes into the picture. And talking about relatability, this will answer your question. There are two kinds of art. One is the high art. When we are talking about Ahmed Farah Saab, when we are talking about Manto, not everybody can get close to that pinnacle of art form, right? But there is this specific kind of art which is called the relatable art. So for me, when I kind of pursue that kind of, when I'm pursuing that art form, the only thing that I was chasing was relatability. कि अगर मैं कुछ बात कह रहा हूँ स्टेज पे, तो किसी ने अगर पीएचडी की हुई है, इफ देयर इज अ स्कॉलर, तो उसको भी वो बात समझ में आनी चाहिए. एंड इफ देयर इज समवन हु हैज नॉट बीन टू स्कूल, उन दोनों इंसानों पे वो इम्पैक्ट बराबर आना चाहिए. एंड दैट इज समथिंग दैट आई लर्न फ्रॉम माई ग्रैंडमदर. So that's how this entire, it's been passed on through the generations. And I feel that this is something that I will pass on, because I'm bearing the flag for this art form right now in India. And slowly, gradually, बस इसको इसी तरीके से define करके pass on करना है, that it has to be nothing but two people connecting with each other. That's it.
I just want to add a little thing to that. Sorry. Do you know about Khusro Sahab? Do you know about Aulia ji? Khusro, we have had one of the greatest writers. He could write the hardest possible lines. He knew so much about art, and he would perform. And he was किसी भी कलाकार को ना बड़े लोगों को इम्प्रेस नहीं करना होता है. Although we like that validation, trust me, but वो परफॉर्म करते थे, वो बहुत अच्छा परफॉर्म करते थे. उनको बहुत स्कॉलर्स तालियां बजा के चले जाते थे. पर एक दिन औलिया साहब ने कहा कि तुझे क्या करना है, तू क्यों के लिए लिखता हूँ, और मैं चाहता हूँ कि मेरी कविताएं यहाँ जाएं, ये बदलाव आए, ये हो, मेरे अंदर ये आग है. तो उन्होंने कहा कि जिनको तुम सुनाना चाह रहे हो, तुम्हारी बात पहुँच नहीं रही है, क्योंकि तुम उनकी भाषा में ही नहीं लिख रहे हो. दे डोंट नो द वर्ड्स दैट यू आर राइटिंग. सो आई ऑफन सॉर्ट ऑफ एंड अप गेटिंग सम डीएम्स. ये प्योरिस्ट लोग होते हैं कि तुमको ये नहीं आता, वो नहीं आता. हम सब सीख रहे हैं, वी आर ऑल लर्निंग. बट अगर जब तक मुझे तुम्हारे दिल को छूना आता है, आई एम एन आर्टिस्ट एंड आई डोंट नीड टू नो एनीथिंग एल्स, एनीथिंग एल्स.
मेरे को तो आज क्रैश कोर्स मिल गया है. Guys.
Paresh, I know of it, and I want you to tell about the world. So I know if all of you know about this, but Paresh does this amazing thing, which is his next tour that he's on to, called Voice Notes. So Voice Notes के अंदर कहानियां भी हैं, which are collaborating with music. So if you can throw light of what is Voice Notes about, why you thought about it, what was you feeling at that time कि वो कहानियां वहाँ पे डालनी क्यों जरूरी है?
जी. I think both these beautiful people have spoken about stories in a lot of depth, and all of that is true. Voice Notes concert जो है वो एक personal thing है. It's a combination of music and a story, which is a love story, जो कि comes from real life events of my friend. मेरी नहीं है,
Imaginary.
imaginary. सारे किरदार imaginary है उसमें. Voice, because I feel human voice is very unique, just like your fingerprint. And there is certain truth in the human voice that cannot be hidden. आप छुपा नहीं सकते. जब मेरी मम्मी सुबह गुड मॉर्निंग बेटा का मैसेज भेजती हैं, तो मुझे समझ में आ जाता है कि how she's feeling today, and she can't hide it. Similarly, that's your mom. Hello. Similarly, friends also, when they message you, मतलब वो इमोशन टेक्स्ट में आ ही नहीं सकता है. That's one. Secondly, all the music that we always make is on the voice note. So कोई melody आई तो record करी, भेजी, सामने से words आए, वो record करे. And third, it just that was one of the mediums of communication in one of my relationships, which was very endearing. So I thought, okay, let's combine all the loves of my life, which is music, poetry, storytelling. Also, the question I get asked, which is, are you an actor first, or bye, ma'am, or a musician first? So I thought, why not? Let's just do both of it. So that's Voice Notes concert, and I'm gonna tell you two things, जो कि दोनों मेरी नहीं है. एक चीज़ है जो मेरा दोस्त है लक्ष्य महेश्वरी करके, इज अ फिनोमिनल स्टोरी टेलर. तो उसकी एनालॉजी है, लक्ष्य सेज कि एंड हिज स्टोरी कि दो बहनें होती हैं, एक गांव में जाती हैं. हैव यू हर्ड द स्टोरी? है ना? एक का नाम होता है सत्य, एक का नाम होता है कहानी. तो जब पहले सत्य जाती है गांव में तो लोग डर जाते हैं, ये खिड़कियां बंद कर देते हैं. शी कम्स बैक क्राइंग, एंड देन कहानी गोज विथ अ श्रृंगार एंड एवरीथिंग. एंड शी goes and people have opened their doors and it's a full festival, लोग नाच रहे हैं, गा रहे हैं. और फिर कहानी सत्य का हाथ पकड़ के गांव में ले जाती है और उस दिन से दोनों साथ साथ जाते हैं. एंड मॉरल ऑफ द स्टोरी इज कि जब भी यू हैव टू गिव ट्रूथ, सत्य अबाउट एनी चेंज, अबाउट एनीथिंग इन सोसाइटी, यू हैव टू take some support of the story because that's how our human brain understands, right? um, that's Lakshya's story again. और दूसरी चीज जो कि पॉलो कोहेलो ने कही है, which I really really relate to, which is कि as a creative, as a writer, our job is not to sound intelligent, but to tell the reader, the audience, that you are not alone. That's our only job. Okay, whatever you're feeling, it's valid. I'm also feeling the same. I'm also feeling depressive thoughts, anxiety. I'm also feeling, heartbreak, happy, sad, all of it. And there is nothing wrong with feeling एनी ऑफ दोज इमोशंस. ये तो हमको एडवर्टाइजिंग ने वैसे कंडीशन करा है कि आपको सिर्फ हैप्पीनेस फील करनी है. चॉकलेट खाओगे तो खुश हो जाओगे, ये पियोगे तो खुश हो जाओगे, ये घर में रहोगे तो खुश हो जाओगे, गाड़ी चलाओगे तो खुश हो जाओगे. इट्स अ वेरी predominantly advertising fed emotion that you're supposed to be happy all the time. No, I don't think so. You could feel whatever you want to feel. In fact, if you feel it fully, you're allowing it to kind of leave your system. If you suppress it, then it stays. And how do you express it? All of us have different ways. She does poetry. I make music out of it. Um, you could just go for a walk. That's been really helpful for me. Just going for a walk without my phone. Performing on stage, doing this, talking to you guys, it just makes the world a less lonely place, because loneliness is a big problem in the world right now. And we don't talk about it enough. And that's my vision as an artist, to make this world a less lonely place and connect. That's all. और कोई मुद्दे नहीं है.
But guys, whosoever is in Delhi, Paresh is performing on 27th of March in Delhi at Talkatora Stadium. Manage your luggage. थोड़ी सी टिकट्स बची है, खरीद लो.
Very good. I give you 10 points for being the manager.
I have the best management.
Also, just one thing, you realize कि हम लोग जब सब खुश होते हैं तो हम और हमारे पास कोई दुख होता है तो हमें थोड़ा बुरा लगता है कि अरे सब तो खुश है. As humans, we've had that ग्रे लोग हैं हम, वाइट और ब्लैक नहीं है. जैसे ही पता लगता है कि दूसरा भी दुख में है तो अपना दुख थोड़ा शांत होने लगता है कि चल चल सभी के साथ ऐसा हो रहा है. It's that we just bad people somewhere. जो हमारा वो ब्लैक है ना, वाइट और ब्लैक का, वो उसको थोड़ी संतुष्टि मिलती है. The moment you see a sad poetry, you just relate to it. Wow, ये भी दुख में है. It's just relatable.
I have such a interesting story to this, that जब आपने ये बात करी, so during COVID, we all were going through a sad time, I would say. मैं एक पेज पे stumble upon हुआ था. It was called The Old School Bastard. And I was
Legendary guy.
legendary guy. किस किस को यहाँ पे पता है ओल्ड स्कूल बास्टर्ड के बारे में? ओके, अभी अभी शायद से आपको और बेटर पता चल जाएगा उसके बारे में। सो आई स्टम्बल्ड अपॉन दैट पेज, इट वाज़ सो इंटरेस्टिंग टू सी दैट जो आवाज़ थी और जो बातें हो रही थी, मैं उससे बहुत रिलेट कर रहा था, बट मेरे पास किसी इंसान की शक्ल ही नहीं थी उसपे। वो दिल्ली की गलियाँ थी या कहीं वादियाँ थी, कुछ ऐसा था जो जो मेरे को शायद से उस टाइम पे कंसोल कर रहा था कि ठीक है भाई, ये हो जाएगा, दिस दिस टाइम विल पास। एंड जिसको नहीं पता है, ओल्ड स्कूल बास्टर्ड का पेज का नाम बदल गया है। सर आप बता सकते हो उसका नाम?
It's now Jaising official with an extra H. But see, I looked after your manager. I need 10%. So
खाली हाथ आए थे हम, खाली हाथ जाएंगे। बस जार के दो मीठे बोल झिलमिलाएंगे।
नहीं मैं
तो हंस क्योंकि दुनिया को है हंस।
No, we are sitting on a business platform. That doesn't make sense to me anymore.
वो बार बार करेंगे।
Okay, of course. The entire concept of that page is very surprising. People don't really, people won't understand why I did that because I'm a very introvert person, and being on the stage,
He did not reply to me when I messaged him on Old School Bastard, So many times. Jay, you're so good. No replies. No replies. I'm offended, like officially.
उस time मेरी girlfriend होती थी.
तो उस टाइम मेरा भी बॉयफ्रेंड था. I was just appreciating your art, man. Just
अगर कुछ हुआ तो मेरे को कभी
you give boy. You can take the boy out of Haryana, not the Haryana out of the boy, I guess.
सिडनी में था मैं उस वक्त, and I was very
I just said you can take the boys of Haryana.
so little India. But as a very introverted person, for me, gives me a lot of social anxiety when I talk to people, right? Even if you look at me closely, if you see my forehead, I'm kind of sweating. So I decided that page, and it started off way back in 2015 when I was traveling India. So what happened? I was working in Ericsson. I don't know. Should I have said that name? No. I was working in Ericsson cards in a way. So I absconded that company because the manager was not nice to me. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. That's so sweet. Love women, man. So I absconded that company and started traveling India. When I was traveling India, so what happened was that's when I changed the name of the page to Old School Bastard. Old School because the way I used to travel, I used to not staying in hotels, camping out in the wild, and lighting bonfires, traveling on a motorcycle from one place to the other. No plans, no itinerary, nothing. And then one day when I was traveling, by that time I had not changed the name. Somebody recognized me on the street, and I had to have like a 10-minute conversation with that dude. And I was like, okay, fuck, that's texting. I can't do that. So I changed my name to Old School Bastard, and instead of my name, I put man without a face. And that's how it was. So by the time you saw my page, it already had a name. Like Jaising was written there, but the entire reason of doing that was I didn't want people to see me as a person. I wanted them to see me as a voice inside their head. And you talking about voice notes, how I got viral. Uh, one night in Sydney during COVID, I was sending these voice notes to a very old friend of mine. And we were talking. So I sent somewhere around like 15 or 16 voice notes to him. Next day, what he did was he screen recorded all those voice notes, put them in a compilation, and there was music behind the background and everything the way it was set up. So 15 voice notes, somewhere a clip of like 10 minutes or something. And I heard it in the morning, and without any expectation, I just put it on YouTube. And then it touched somewhere around 1 million views or something. And that's when I started getting traction on Instagram. And I think now because the page has a face, now because the page has a name, when people look at that face, that page, they see a person. But I'm not a person. I'm an emotion. I am. I really am. And I would like to be that way. Because when Nayab said that, we read something and we feel it, अगर हमें महसूस नहीं होता ना, तो हम सब जिंदा लाश होते हैं। जो वो होता है ना कि एक कलाकार को जो चीज़ कलाकार बनाती है, वो उसका भाव होता है। और भाव एक ऐसी चीज़ है जिसको ना तो शब्दों की ज़रूरत है, ना किसी और चीज़ की, उसको बस साँस चाहिए होती है, पता है? स्टेज पे जब लोग रोते हैं ना, वो इसलिए रोते हैं क्योंकि मेरी सांस में उनकी सांस मिल जाती है। मैं आंख ऐसे करता हूँ तो उनको समझ आता है क्या कर रहा है, और वो उस बात पे 4 मिनट होते हैं। सो देयर इज अ बिट इन द शो वेयर आई डोंट स्पीक अटर अ सिंगल वर्ड फॉर 4 मिनट्स। इट्स लाइक जस्ट pitch black dark silence, and that's when people start crying without a word, without a word. And that's what I wanted to do. That's what I want, and I did that for myself because I wanted to prove to myself that I'm not a person, I'm an emotion. Whatever I exuberate is what people will feel. And that is what Old School Bastard was.